do you tell people like they need to be putting this money away for retirement when they're so focused on just their day-to-day expenses?
Most people in the private sector, majority, have to work until they're 65 so they can start to get on Medicare. I can see the light bulb coming on because, one thing I believe is that when you really see the numbers and you see your numbers and you get what I call a double R, retirement reality, then you can really start to make the change, because everybody thinks, Michelle, is just years and years away, and you look up and wow, here we are. And we can't do something in 5 years that we didn't do in the past 25. So my slogan to everybody is that early planning is key to financial security.
All right. Hi, I'm Michelle O'Neill with the Michelle O'Neill Show. Y'all have been enjoying the month of February with Miss Rita Oliver, who is one of my favorite people. She always motivates me every time I talk to her. And she always comes out with some memorable little saying or quip that I actually remember forever. Y'all have heard her say, the man is not the plan, but he can be the side hustle. You've heard her say that she has her MBA, her mindset, behavior, and her action in place. And so we've been enjoying learning from Ms. Rita Oliver all month. So we're going to end the month of February here with a final interview with Ms. Rita. We're going to go live today. We're talking to Ms. Rita live. Welcome to the show again, Ms. Rita Oliver.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me. And so good to see you, and so excited to be with you today on this beautiful sunny day here in Texas.
It's so beautiful today outside. As soon as we're done, I'm going to go enjoy some of it.
Yes.
But in the meantime, it's been a while since we filmed the episodes that have been running this month. So give us the catch up on you. What's been going on since we saw you last? Anything new in your life?
Well, when you saw me last, I was on the cusp of retiring. So that was it 2021? Latter 2021 when we did that?
I think it was 22, but yeah.
Oh, 22. So I had just been retired for a little while.
Retired.
Yeah. So now I have been in it for 2 years now, and it has just been wonderful. And what I've been doing, still doing the business, still helping people with their money, and really focusing in. And I believe I told you then, and I listened to the videos, I watched them myself several times, is focusing in on retirement planning. So I've really, really honed in on that. And, that is such a big gap here in America with people planning for their retirement, even those that are in the federal, state, local governments, those in corporate America, private sector. Such a huge gap for everybody. But what we are seeing, and I'm really happy about it, and I am taking advantage of it, is that everybody wants to do financial wellness for their employees. And that makes me happy because that gives me an opportunity to be a part of that. So one of the big things I've been working on, Michelle, and I started this year, is becoming to do a contract, be a federal government trainer, to contract with the federal government to teach the federal retirement planning classes using the 2 classes that I developed in 2021 and 2022. So as a matter of fact, I just submitted a proposal this past Friday they are looking for a trainer to teach 6 classes down in Pascagoula, Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi, to teach their employees federal to get them ready for those that have just been working for 5 years, those in mid-career, and those with less than 5 years to retire. So that was my sweet spot right there. So I've been spending the latter half of 23 and part of 24, really, even though I worked for the federal government, I was on the side reviewing the proposals, but never putting them together. So I've been navigating, becoming a contractor, registering myself in various agencies, small business databases where they can do micro contracts where I don't have to compete, but they just have to I have to build a relationship with them. So I've been really focusing in on that, and so excited, particularly if I land a contract and to teach the classes that I developed.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. I'm so proud that you're doing that. And I'm sure that you'll be able to use your vast expertise in federal retirement systems to really help a lot of people. Are you also doing private coaching?
Yes, I am. I still have the private coaching. As a matter of fact, I have an array, mainly women, and I've had some couples to call me, which has been a good thing to sit down with me for a consultation because people are starting to think about it. So my message is getting out there from my posts, from my reels, all of those things. So yes, in the private sector as well. And one of the things I've learned several things in the private sector in coaching clients from corporate America. One thing is that, which is different from the federal government, is that their health insurance doesn't go with them. So most people in the private sector, majority, have to work until they're 65 so they can start to get on Medicare. So that is a big thing there. And then also that most of them only have the 401k, they have not invested outside. So helping them to know that they must do something else and helping them set that up has been a joy. Helping people, I can see the light bulb coming on because, one thing I believe is that when you really see the numbers and you see your numbers and you get what I call the double R, retirement reality, then you can really start you can really start to make the change because everybody thinks, Michelle, is just years and years away. And you look up and wow, here we are. And then what do we do? And we can't do something in 5 years that we didn't do in the past 25. Right. That's the difficult part there. Right. So my slogan to everybody or my mantra is that early planning is key to financial security.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is a true statement. But how, whenever you're, in your 30s and your 40s and you're raising your kids and, and you're just struggling, to get the kids their soccer lessons and, pay your car payment and right now buy groceries. Like, I mean, how do you tell people like they need to be putting this money away for retirement when they're so focused on just their day-to-day expenses?
Well, that's where it comes in, Michelle, with my coaching program. My first objective in the program with any person, married or single, is that we first have to organize your spending. We got to organize what your spending is. We need to see where you are spending the money and categorize it, then see how much you're putting there. Do you still need to do that? And where, by us organizing it, we can identify some disposable income to start putting away. I mean, if you're in your 30s, if you've got $50, that is good to put in a Roth IRA, 50 a month. And as things free up, you can start to increase that. Now, granted, yes, food, shelter, transportation, all of that stuff is priority. And we put that in the plan, but it's identifying where we may have what I call that little bit of wasted spending or a little bit of, because we have the needs, the wants, and the wishes. And so, and the wishes. So we need to see on some of that wishing that we're doing early, how can we cut it back so that then down the road, those wishes aren't a problem. So it's prioritizing. Yes, people have the necessities they have to do, but then also planning for your future is a necessity and saving for it is a necessity as well.
Right. I was scrolling through Instagram this morning and I came across an interview that Gary Vee did with, I can't remember the lady's name, but a young woman that's a financial planner. I think she was from New York. And they were talking about the current economy and how in a down economy, the statistics show that, in a down economy, we're not buying the big things that we would normally maybe spend discretionary money on, but that the spending on the little things, the treats, these little treats goes way up. He was talking about in the Great Depression, how spending on makeup went up because they couldn't afford the big things, but spending on makeup went up, which I guess then especially would have been discretionary. I'm not sure we would think it's so discretionary now.
No, it's a need now.
I know, right? And this lady was saying that that lipstick spending in the current economy has gone up. That it's the little treats that go up because you think, oh, I can't afford a new car, but I could afford this special lipstick. And the way that I was, when they were talking about that, I was thinking about Starbucks and the Dave Ramsey like Starbucks talk that he gives about
Yeah.
how like I can make a coffee at home and I can put some cream in it and stir it up, or I can go get a fancy latte at Starbucks. One of those two things costs me, I don't know, 50 cents or less. One of those two things cost me $5. And if I
Yeah.
do it every day, like that $5 a day adds up. And that's one of those things that maybe is a wishes, not a needs or a wants, or maybe I want that latte, but it's so much easier just to make it at the house and save that money.
Yeah.
So I
It,
thought that
it
was
is.
interesting though about
Um,
the little things.
Yeah, and I would agree, Michelle, because just like what they said it's a down economy. So then for the mindset and the mental interpretation of that for everybody is that I can't do much is bad. So we got to cut back. So it's that, because in economic terms, you have the growth, you have the contraction, you have the expansion. And then you have the trough. The trough is really low. So we have probably a little bit of contraction, but when you look at it, when we went into COVID and we were shut down 18 months, people put a lot of money away because we weren't spending on a lot.
Right.
So in 23 and some of 24, some of 22, people have been coming out with that, coming out and spending, particularly enjoying vacations they have. And so now with inflation really got us with food last year. I mean, food was just astronomically high. And in some cases, still high, but food is a necessity. It's the supply and the demand. And people make a way because you got to have food on the table. You got to have food to live. That's just the bottom line. But in all of that, we all still want some of our wants and our wishes. So for a woman, her makeup and looking good is making her feel good every day and confident about it. And that she can go out into the world. And it's not a television, $2,000 television, but maybe spending 100, 150 on some makeup to make me feel good. That is going to last me for a while. So it still comes down to the decision making and really choices and options. The choices and options you have, and that's what every family has to do. It's their priority. If my priority is to make sure we've got the roof, we got the food, we got transportation, we got clothes, we can go to the hospital. And then we've got some choices that we all want to have so that we all feel something good and we have a little something for ourselves at that time.
So what are the tips that you give to your coaching clients as far as how to, cut some of those expenses? Yes, we want makeup. We probably need makeup. Some of us need makeup more than others, and I'm talking about me.
Me too.
But how, what are some tips on how to curb that spending? You talked a little bit about it on the show as far as you personally, but what are some tips that you give to people that are your clients on how to curb that spending and how to save some money in that way?
Well, it goes back to what I said about us putting a spending plan together. And one of the categories I have in the plan for everybody, Michelle, is what I call their fun account or their pleasure and leisure account. So once we get the priorities down of what has to be spent for, living, transportation, we look at the debt, because really and truly the debt is what's detracting from it. The other stuff is really not that much. But when we get it organized and we get it, what I call get a plan to optimize and get the debt out of their lives, we look at that disposable that's left over because we prioritize savings. I have people to prioritize savings by having it to come out. Number one, have it come out of your paycheck before you ever get it. That's for your retirement and for your emergency. Okay. So then that's number one, Michelle, is to set that up for whatever amount that is. If it's $50 a pay period, $100, whatever we can afford, looking at your income versus your expenses. Number two is then setting up that pleasure and leisure or entertainment account for your dining out, for your coffee, for your makeup, for your hair. It may not be an abundance amount of money, but it's an amount of money that you have that you could spend, and it doesn't impact anything else that's going on that we've put in the plan. Because we prioritize what's important. We prioritize them, their saving for today. We prioritize their future. Then we set up something for their pleasure so they can enjoy. So one is saving for retirement and the emergency fund before you ever get your check. Then it's really knowing where you're spending your money, and that's having that spending plan. And in that plan is then setting up number 3, an amount of money for you monthly or every 2 weeks for you to spend however you want. You can blow it all, you can save it or whatever, but it doesn't impact the priorities of your household of living for today and building tomorrow.
I like that. I like that. How do you advise people who, don't even realize that they're outspending their coverage?
Really, Michelle, I don't have to do a lot, because when I have people to fill out my client analysis spreadsheet and they have to put everything in those categories and add them up, they really get to see, number one, the light bulb goes on. They see where they are spending their money. That's a lot. So that's first thing. So then when I get in there and they send it back to me, I do what's called the money strategist analysis, where I lay out what I go back and look at it, and then I prioritize and I try to find, because I'm matching it to their goals. They've told me what they want in 1, 3, 5, and 10 years and what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
So my plan is then to analyze what they've given me, the raw data, to fit it to see how and when they can actually achieve the goal. They may not be able to get to 1 year goal in 1 year. So then it's then talking them through it to say, here's what you gave me. And first and foremost, I confirm with everybody all the time. Did you give me everything? A lot of times people don't give me everything. They don't want you to know everything.
Yep.
And so then I go through step by step, walking them through, here's what your income is. And one thing I want to make people to get very clear, this is your income. Let's get away from gross salary. This is what you're living off of for the entire year. It's coming every 2 weeks. Time 26, this is it. And so then it's giving them that reality check. You want to be here. But our money is down here. So we got to do the gap. It's 3 questions, Michelle, that I ask. Where are you going? Where are you now? And how do we close the gap?
Right.
So they have to answer. They answer the first one, where they want to go. I show them where they are now, and I show them how to close the gap. And so it's difficult for them because people have normalized the way they've done it all the time, because that's in their mind. So I am shifting. I'm making them do a shift different of how they're going to do it, saying this bank account is for the main household expenses. So if you all are going to have your P&L, your pleasure and leisure, we can do it in a separate bank account, or you guys can get cash and put it in an envelope so that it is, so you can see it. So it depends on how the 2 people or the individual, if they are ready to really make the shift. People that's really ready to make the shift, they make it, Michelle. I don't have any difficulty. They follow me to the letter because they want to see it. Because the first and foremost thing, as I said, is when they see all those where they are spending their money and how much money they're spending.
Yeah.
Because when I calculated and I said, okay, well, you got $1,000 surplus every month. They said, well, we don't see it. I said, yeah, if you've given me everything, this is what you have. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do this. We've got the money to do it. And they're saying, well, we don't see it. And so I said, because you're doing some unconscious spending in there. And so it's all about that person wanting to change, because if you want it better, it's just like with exercise, to lose weight or to get healthy, sitting in the house, eating high fat food, high carb is not going to get you there. Right. You got to make a shift to change that diet and to put some type of exercise. And with money and finances, it is changing how you've done it in order to be in a different place, because what you've been constantly doing is not getting you anywhere. It's keeping you in debt. It's keeping you without savings. You're having to continue to stay in debt because you don't have cash to pay for anything for an emergency. So so what I advise them, Michelle, is this. You know, a lot of people say, trust the process. And I tell them, yes, this is a process. So trust yourselves that you can first foremost change and that you can do this, because this is very simple and this will take you to another level in your life.
I feel like we're kind of in this consumerism society, though, where, there's these expectations and depending on where you're at or who your friends are, I mean, your expectations may be at different places. But, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she was talking about a Birkin purse, as if I should know what a Birkin purse is. And
I know what it is.
I knew she had spent some money on this Birkin purse.
Uh-huh.
And, in her society, like, having a Birkin purse was a thing, but I mean, I'm a divorce lawyer, we're getting a divorce here. So a Birkin purse may have been your past, but it may not be your future, but
No,
it's things like that, would I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but would a Louis Vuitton purse be just as good as a Birkin? I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I mean, that was one of the standards. But for me, like, I wouldn't, I don't know. Purses aren't a thing.
But I'm gonna tell you, society has pushed it. I will say, social media has pushed it. Instagram pushes it a lot,
Yes.
more so than Facebook. Instagram pushes it a lot, and because we have, of course, you've seen the Congress has had Facebook and Instagram and everybody up there, TikTok. And the controls they want to put on it for teenagers. But also, too, when you look at it for adults, we have so many people following what's on Instagram. Not a bad thing, but people thinking they have to look like that or they have to have that to be, I guess, in the know, or to be, I don't know, accepted. Because, when you're talking to Hermes Birkin, it is starting at $50,000-$60,000 and can go up to over.
I mean, I didn't know, but I know now.
Yeah. Yes. And I have seen it's one here in Dallas, a retail shop. I think it's TBC Luxury Resale. And I follow them and I see them come on live, and he is unveiling the Birkin, and this is for resale. And he said it's in great condition, and he said at a great price at $45,000.
I mean, and I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, there are people that live at a level for whom that is their reality, and that's great. Yeah. For me, I said this lady was also into horses, and I said, ma'am, you're into horses. I'm into houses. I put my money in houses, Yeah. And it's all about a priority system, right? But you also, to me, I think also there's an element of this financial literacy, and that's really kind of the overarching topic we're discussing. Mm-hmm. To me, there's this element of financial literacy that has to do with, with prioritizing the things that are really important. And for me, and my standards don't have to be the next person's standards. If you want a Birkin purse, by all means, if you can afford it, go get one.
That's it.
Go get one. If it's that, if it means that much to you, great. No judgment from me. I mean, I'm sure it's a great purse, but to me, I mean, I tend to spend very little money on things like purses. $100. If that day I was carrying a purse that I had bought on the street in Sorrento when we went to Italy in the fall. So number one, what you now learned about me is that I spend money on travel. And that I bought I don't know what I paid for it, $40 for an Italian leather purse. on the street in Sorrento, and I was just happy as a clam with it. And I mean, a Birkin purse would have been just complete. I wouldn't even know one if I saw one. Like it's lost on me.
Yeah, but you said it correctly. People that can afford it at that,
Right.
that's their reality. That can spend 45 to 100 grand on that. That's a great thing for them. That's not a reality for me. I don't think it'd ever be a reality for me. Not $45,000 on a
I
bag.
don't know that I
No,
would even if I won the lottery tomorrow, I don't think
I don't think I could do it either. I don't think I
I,
could do it either.
I don't know that I would even want it because I could take that money and I could
Yeah.
buy properties. That's my
Yes.
thing. I could take
Yeah.
that money and start a charity. I mean, I could do so much good in the world
Yeah.
with
I
that kind
think
of
where it becomes an issue, Michelle, back to what you said, the priority, is that when people who see it and they think having the latest and greatest, because one of the things is, and I remember, I was in my bag, and I do like a nice bag. I like Gucci and I like Bottega Veneta. Those are my two. I love them. And one thing, I have a girlfriend, Valerie, and Valerie loves Chanel. And Val and I were out shopping one day, and she said it, and it just really hit home. She said, there is always going to be a bag, Rita. She said, as soon as we get these bags across the counter, it's a new one coming out, and we can't keep up with it. We're never going to be able to keep up with it. So she said, we got to just start keeping this money, and that's the truth. But that's the reality for us now. But for a lot of younger women, and that's one thing I'm seeing, Michelle. I didn't really get a designer purse till I was in my 40s. I see these younger women in their 20s with a Chanel. And a Chanel now is averaging $10,000. And I know there's no way in the way. Yeah. And they have them, several of them. I don't own one at all, and I can't afford one, you know. So people have their own set of standards
and their own
what
priorities.
wrong priority. But what I say to them from a financial perspective is that if you're going to have a 10 grand bag, I hope you got 100 to 200 grand sitting in a 401k and 50,000 sitting in a savings. I really do.
Well,
I really hope.
and as a divorce lawyer, right? I mean, as a divorce lawyer, a lot of times what I see are women who have lived at a certain standard because the husband makes the money and maybe the man was the plan. And now the man is becoming not the plan and has chosen a different plan. And, and the women are having to find a new standard of living. And sometimes with some women, I mean, it's quite culture shock that they have been, able to buy expensive purses and shop at Neiman's and, and go to lunch with their friends every day. And now they're kind of faced with a situation where they're having to get a job and earn their own money. And, so it can be quite shocking to some of the women whenever the man decides on a different plan.
Yeah, when he decides on a different plan and gets a new companion. So, that definitely can be. But then, Michelle, that's where, in a certain thing, because our relationships are different, but that's where a woman has really, because she can get caught up in the stuff that he's doing for her and buying the things. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, do you really have a great relationship with this man? And do you have a great relationship with yourself? And also, do you understand or even think about if he's gone tomorrow or in 6 months, can I still make it?
Yep.
Will I still be happy with myself? Can I still do for myself and take care of myself? Because when you start depending on that man for just every little thing, particularly that money, everything, you get caught up in it, and the next thing you know, it's taken from you. Because you haven't really it's just like when you say you buy a house, an investment property. Have you really invested yourself in a relationship to learn what's really going on and invested enough to know that I got to take care of myself regardless, married or single?
Yeah. Yeah. So what is the advice that you give to young women who are engaged to be married and about to get married? I know that you have financial advice that you give to women in those, and I guess men too, but
Yeah.
that you give to people in that situation? So what do you tell them?
I tell them, Michelle, that communication is highly, highly important. And communication with each other in a relationship is very important. That you're honest, open, and transparent about what you like, what you don't like, and how you all can meet in the middle. And then when it comes to their finances, it's about having the open conversation on everything and bringing the documentation to the table and getting help where you need it. Because surprises financially can cause such a rift and a big shift in a marriage. That's just the bottom line. And so, but what's so key is that they, number one, know themselves. They know who they are and who they are not. And that they're honest enough to bring that to the relationship. Because I really feel that if people would do that and be truthful, because I learned something when I was dating a long time ago. You don't meet the person, you meet their representative. That's who you meet first. And then as you go on through the relationship, you really who they are. So for young couples, definitely the communication to be open about what you want, what you don't want, and then how do you all work it together? And then because you may not get everything that you want, either party, but what can we work together that's for the betterment of us, if I could say it like that?
Yeah.
And the way that you keep that going is you always got to talk about it. You've got to be honest about it because people change as your lives change, the relationship change, because you got to know if you all are growing and going together through those years.
Yeah. Yeah. Good points. Good points. Who is one of the famous financial gurus that you admire?
If I had to say, and I guess because I did his financial coaching class, his certification was Dave. Because Dave, he's from Tennessee, he's from the South. I'm from Mississippi, I'm from the South. And so, Dave has, he just brought it down to a simple reality about money. I also liked it because Dave brought his story into it about being up here at the top with real estate or whatever, and really down at the very, very bottom and climbing out. But once you have to climb out, Michelle, you build a whole lot of character. You do. And so I like Dave because Dave is just simple about it. People say that when he talks about debt, he can be too harsh, but he's really telling the truth. Because I have seen some numbers in here with people. I really have. I have been on the phone with people who wanted to work with me, desperate to, but Michelle, they just couldn't come up with the money because of so much debt.
Yeah.
And work and, work in a way to try to come up with it. And so I really like Dave because Dave always made it simple. He always said why you needed to do it. And he always told you how you need to do it. He didn't, and he wasn't very general about it. He came with the 7 steps of what he believes is how you can get there.
Yeah.
And so people may not agree with all of it, but he does give you a simple framework of how to get there. And really and truly what people need is a step by step to do it. People don't like to do it, but really and truly, if you follow those steps, you will get to it. Now, I didn't follow all of Dave's steps, but I intermingle them. I have a different way of looking at it. I think you can do them all and balance it out because he just says do one and then do, but I think you can balance them out. But I do admire Dave for his simplicity and his truthfulness, and he maintains that. I do.
So you're a Dave Ramsey certified financial coach.
Yes, I did his master coach certification back in 2000 or something like that. 2019. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you wrote a book that's available on Amazon called Disclose Before You Disrobe, a book aimed at people that are about to get married, right?
Yes, people about to get married or people even married now. There are married people in the household, Michelle, that never talked about any money, and they've been in there for a couple of years,
right?
Still living separate lives. And so that book was aimed at giving them a step-by-step guide to not go into the marriage in the financial unknown and not continue to live in the financial unknown. Money is, it's a check mark It's a standard, just like we talked about. It is different levels of society, because even in financial planning training, Michelle, they talk to us about the 4 tiers of with money in terms of clients, of households under 35,000, this is probably this, and that, households 150,000 or more, this is that. So it's just, money is just that society hierarchy, if you will. So, higher incomes know a lot more and are apt to do a lot more, whereas lower socioeconomic, they are trying to just really get the basics done. So, and disclose before you disrobe, whatever level they may be at, the lower or the high end, it is to have that open, honest conversation about each of us coming in here and what we have and don't have financially, what I know and don't know financially, and how do we work this together as we meld our lives together, and it's about as I said before, growing and going to the same place at the same time. And their money can take them there, because together they can achieve more.
So whenever I looked up your book before we started today, I just to make sure it was still on Amazon, I found it on Amazon. I also found out that it was on Kindle Unlimited. So for those people out there who have a Kindle Unlimited subscription, you can read Rita's book without additional charge, or as Kindle would say, for free, but nothing's ever free. So you can read Ms. Rita's book, Disclose Before You Disrobe, on Amazon via Kindle Unlimited, included in your subscription. So I'm going to end with one more question for you, and that is, what is the one thing that any of us could do today that would improve our finances?
Know your income and expenses every month. Know them in and out. Or if I could just break it, let me make it simpler, Michelle. Know your numbers.
Know your numbers.
Know your numbers. You'd be amazed how many people have no clue what their numbers are. And those 2 simple numbers, which are income and expenses, you really need to know those every month, because that, I don't care who you go and work with, financial advisor, CPA, CFP, certified financial planner, they're going to ask you what's your income, what's your expenses.
Yeah.
That's where everything starts. That's the foundation. You have to know that to go anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you joining us and hanging out and catching up with us on the Michelle O'Neill Show. This is Rita Oliver. She has been our guest for the month of February. I hope you guys have enjoyed learning about financial literacy and learning about Miss Rita. I've always found her to be so inspiring for me personally, both on my financial literacy, but also as a woman and a friend. So thank you for joining us for the month of February, Miss Rita. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate you so much. Thank you.